Welcome to Great Aspirations, Wealthspire Advisors podcast series on life, wellness, and financial advice. Each episode shares the experiences of extraordinary people whose stories inspire others to think big, find balance, and explore the possibilities of achieving health, wealth, and happiness. And now, here's your host, the CEO of Wealthspire Advisors, Michael LaMena.
Of Wealthspire's podcast, Great Aspirations. The theme for season 3 is Life Amplified. During this season, we're excited to feature inspiring stories of individuals who've achieved fulfillment in life through intuition, passion, opportunity, and determination. Every day at Wealthspire, we embrace the privilege we have to partner with individuals and families we work with to empower and enable them to live their best life. We could not be more excited to share some of their stories, and hopefully we can inspire, motivate, encourage, and guide others to amplify their life and live with purpose, meaning, and joy. I could not be more excited to have as my guest today, Mike James, Executive Vice President and Chief Sales Officer at NFP. He is an amazing colleague of mine and also a great friend. Mike is responsible for driving the strategic direction of NFP's sales organization and cultivating a competitive edge that increases our market share, revenue, and brand awareness. Mike also plays an active role in the company's diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging strategy, something I'm passionate about as well, and has served as a trusted advisor to NFP leaders on issues related to that. In everything he does, Mike is motivated by opportunities to create connections, cultivate relationships, amplify ideas, encourage perseverance, and inspire teams to new levels of success. Before joining NFP, Mike spent more than 14 years with John Hancock Financial Services, where his successes included building a thriving relationship between John Hancock and NFP. The ultimate connector, that connection ultimately leads him to NFP. Mike is an active participant in a variety of industry and community organizations, speaking to his connectivity beyond just, NFP. Currently serves as chair of the Finseca Board of Directors. He's on the Board of Trustees for Suffolk University, as well as the American College of Financial Services. He's on the board of directors of LL Global, a nonprofit parent company for LIMRA and LOMA. He's also an engaged supporter of Nationwide's Financial Alliance for Racial Equity, FAIR, and also is involved with No Books, No Ball basketball program and the Roxbury YMCA. And I know the list goes on and on, Mike, but that gives you a flavor of the impact you're having, not just within NFP, but also in numerous communities and through numerous organizations. So excited to have you on the show today. Thanks for being a guest.
Thanks, Mike. Great to be here.
Awesome. So, before we get into some of the work related stuff, I know that you've had massive impact on, financial services, the insurance industry throughout your career. But I think both of us have talked about the things that were more foundational to us early in our lives that ultimately led to opportunity. So maybe we can take a step back. You've talked to me about, being a first generation college student in your family and how that educational foundation set you up for future success. Let's start there. Talk to me a little bit about that journey, that experience for you, and what education meant to you as you think about some of the success you've had in your career and in your life.
Well, it's pretty simple story. My parents are immigrants from Honduras, which is a Central American country. I'm the youngest of 5. I was only of 5 kids born in the U.S. So my mom and dad came to the U.S. for a better life. My dad had an third world elementary education. My mom had a third world high school education. Both were skilled laborers, is what I would call it. My dad worked for Texaco. My mom was she was a live-in nanny for families and eventually worked in a nursing home. So, this was a blue-collar family, third world roots, and the number one priority for all the kids was an education. So my oldest brother and me being the youngest are the only two from that generation of my family to have a college education. And so we got to, my other brothers and my sister did start college but never completed. But we were the two that did. And ironically, our children have all gone through undergrad and graduate studies. I even have a niece that has her PhD. So education was a big part of it. That was the primary goal of my family.
Right. So that education opening up opportunities. So I think after undergraduate, you were considering a career in law,
Yeah.
but you made a pivot, right?
Yeah.
Like help share like what was the impetus of that pivot?
Yeah, Mike, I wish I had there was this light strategically that went on that told me go from law to financial services and insurance. That's not how it went down. I actually got introduced to a summer internship program from a close friend of my sister's, and he was aligned in the Boston banking community with an internship program that had ties to where I ended up, John Hancock. And he said, "Listen, I think you're smart, you're bright. Yeah, you want to go to school and become a lawyer. That's aspirational. That's wonderful. Lots of great lawyers in the world. But right now, we just need to get you exposed to something bigger than what you see every day. And an internship would help you either confirm that that's a route you want to go on, or you might see something that actually works a little better." And he was 100% right. As I got accepted into the diversity internship program at John Hancock in 1991 and 92 while I was in college. It was transformational for me. I got to meet mentors, male and female, that came from similar backgrounds, came from communities that surrounded where I grew up, and they helped me appreciate what being in a professional environment looked like. And they came with various career paths at John Hancock. One was an attorney, one was an officer of the company in an operational division, one was a sales leader. So I've got this diverse mentorship from people inside the company, which actually helped me appreciate you know, that I needed to open up my senses and see what I had a passion for. And last point, in that internship program, I not only had them as mentors, I actually got to do tours of duties in each of those areas, which helped me appreciate even more where my passion lay. And it took me right into sales and revenue and distribution.
So, what I love about this is like, look, you had to have the motivation, the dedication, the work ethic to be able to succeed in college. You had to do the work once you got the internship, but there's these critical points, and I see it in the way you've given back to communities, right? If you don't get the education, you don't get exposed to the internship. You don't get the internship and get exposed to mentors. Doors aren't open for you. So
Right.
help me understand a little bit more, like, what you took away from that internship and how that influenced kind of the arc of your career. Because I know you're somebody who's a connector and you're
Yeah.
always looking to get people exposed to each other to create possibilities. But talk to me a little bit about those opportunities that were created for you and how that's, kind of played out over an amazing, successful career.
Yeah, I can tell you where it started for me, Mike. It started in high school as a part of a program that my family was in. Remember, I'm the youngest of five. My older siblings all went through a program called the METCO program, the Metropolitan Council for Opportunity. It actually was a controversial program that was stood up and that bused inner city youth to suburban communities to be educated. All of my older siblings went through that program, and I didn't go through it until I got ready for high school. And I signed up and enrolled. That was the transformational moment that opened my lens, my senses, my ability to be inclusive, because I had to first step into an environment that included me. And so I went to an all-white high school that was in a very affluent town, the town of Wayland, Massachusetts. I actually got a host family. I played sports. I was in student government, but that host family served as the first inclusive experience that would shape my life for the rest of my life. It was a family, three sons, two twin brothers, one younger brother. I sat between them in terms of where I was at school. I was a freshman. The younger brother was in junior high, and the older brothers were seniors, and we played basketball together. But that experience, that Metco experience, which was deliberate, it was designed to do that. It was designed to take people that were in underrepresented communities, inner cities, take them out to the suburbs to show them an environment that looks a lot like the rest of the world, frankly. You're going to see people that don't look like you. They're going to come from backgrounds that aren't familiar to you. And you have to learn how to conduct yourself and how to be present and still be your authentic self. That was where the journey started. And today it makes it so much easier for me to be involved in inclusive programs and DEI initiatives all over the industry, and especially at NFP.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
Um, Talk to me about those first, few years and the arc at John Hancock. You're building a business. Talk to me about that experience. I'm sure there were great mentors and pivotal experiences in that. Share a little bit more about that journey.
Yeah, it was daunting. You get licensed. During the internship, I was in college, so when I wasn't in season, I worked at an agency, and I was around agents and operators inside of an ecosystem that was designed to drive, sales and provide advice, more insurance-centric advice. So while I was there, I got involved in conservation efforts, or, they weren't so pleasant because I was making a lot of calls to preserve business and was getting yelled at and screamed at. But I was getting licensed, and as I got licensed, I was able to find my own clients and go on my own journey and pitch and sell and show and deliver advice. That was exciting to me. It was really, really exciting. I did that through college. And then as I graduated, I had the opportunity to have a little bit of both worlds. They wanted me for an internal position in the product and marketing area of John Hancock, but would allow me to maintain my agent's license and sell. So I got the best of both worlds. I got to see how the products were built, designed, and marketed, and actually got to do it myself. And so built a pretty decent book up. But at that point, maybe a couple years after graduation, and as I kind of grew up in this business, it you get to that fork in the road. Do I want to stay the advisor route, or do I want to go into distribution management and do other things? So I went into distribution management, and it started internally, and then I became an external wholesaler. So I got to actually, face off with people that are delivering advice every day. Found a passion for that because I could appreciate what they were doing. And I think they knew I could appreciate it, which made my partnership with them that more dynamic and important. And that grew me up. And all the while, still same set of mentors, new leaders, new people kind of excited about me. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to call it divine intervention, man. People just like me and would share things with me. And I learned to listen, and I learned to heed that advice, and it has served me well.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that really resonate with me. You talked about the internship and being able to do rotations. You talked about, coming in and having a role that was a little bit split. Sometimes I see younger people and it's like they just want the narrow focus track. It's got to be a linear progression. And I feel like if you embrace breadth and you get exposed to multiple things, you don't know when something's going to trigger a passion
Right,
that you can then lean into. And
right.
you being able to go on that journey to say like, look, I can have individual success, but if I can work across a whole organization and be able to amplify the success of others, well, that's a whole different level of
No question.
validation and something you're passionate. So,
Love it.
I know from our interactions, when you wake up every day, you're
Mhm.
thinking about how do I empower a whole bunch of people to understand needs and opportunities to
Yeah,
ultimately solve more problems for clients. And if you
no
can be
question.
the connector that works across organizations and individuals and help them do that, Like, is that what gets you motivated? Because you've had tremendous success in your
Yeah.
career. Like, what keeps you going at this point to be able to bring the energy, the enthusiasm when you're a road warrior, you're out there? Like, talk to me about what fuels your
You're gonna
passion.
love you're gonna love the answer. I'm actually in Montreal right now, hosting a 50-person connections meeting with salespeople from all over, Canada, and
Right.
that gets me up, man. That is exciting to me. That is, I'm in position. I've got this amazing global platform with a company that has lots of capabilities and solutions and services that can add value to clients, right? And so I'm at the most pivotal point. I'm able to set the table and arm men and women with things that I know are going to make a difference, and on an amplified level. So that's what gets me up, man. I mean, you hit it. I mean, it couldn't have been this podcast couldn't happen at a better time. Literally, I am living the very thing we're talking about. I love it, man. Every day is like that for me. Whether I'm doing it virtually or I'm in person. We have 900 client-facing people across the globe that I get to 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 help, support, stand behind, stand with, like every day of the week. That is an awesome thing. I don't take it for granted. It's actually exactly what I want to be doing. A lot of people don't find what they exactly want to be doing. Some people do. Michael Jordan found what he exactly wanted to do. I found what I
Right, but
exactly.
not without like difficulties and bumps in the road, right?
Oh, no question.
It's never a straight line progression. But one
No.
of the things that I love about our interaction is it's easy for somebody to look at you, chief sales officer at a very large organization, countless office, numbers of employees. Now we're part of Aon, an even bigger
Yeah,
organization.
yeah,
But like what I love is the roots of what you do. You haven't lost sight of like it is about having a positive impact on the life of an individual, a family, an organization. Like, and I
yeah.
think you bring that to the conversations that to an outside person might be, well, you're trying to drive, sales, you're trying to drive organic growth. But the reality is it's individual, family, organization by organization that we do
Question.
that by listening to needs and solving problems,
No
right?
question, Mike. That is it. You said it. Absolutely. It is, again, when you find your passion, right? You can see it in that person. The fire's lit, it has an endless fuel supply. And for me, it's powering my life. My professional life does intersect with my personal life.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so just the very organizations that I sit on boards and I support in the community that I grew up in, that's where the intersection is. I'm able to take this platform that I have in financial services and bring it back with me. I'm either being asked to lend my personal time to do that, and that's a major decision that people, the difference between someone who is active and engaged, you have to make that shift to say, I want to give you some of my other time. And this is that important to me. So I've done that. I've done that on foundation boards like Finseca, like the American College, like Suffolk University. Suffolk University lines up real well with me because that is a university that focuses on first generation students for higher education. That is who I am. And frankly speaking, two out of my three children went to undergrad and grad studies there, even though they're not first generation, but they come from it. So it was a great place for me to support them in higher education. The things I do in the community. I was a Roxbury YMCA kid, a Boys and Girls Club kid. I was that kid. I lived in a community where, had those places not been present, I may have gone in a different direction. All those influences were right there. So I give back those programs because there's another kid just like me that is, they don't know that that's the fork in the road that they're at, but if that's not there, they can only go one direction, which in a lot of instances is not good. the program No Books, No Ball. It's a father-son organization, led organization in Boston. They serve 500 families. And at the height of COVID, we were not only able to give those kids something really productive to do on a basketball court, we were able to bring things that wrap their life: healthcare, screening, community policing. We were able to do all of that. We actually fed kids. We didn't just do it in the summer, we took it into the winter. We did it during Thanksgiving. We fed 1,000 families. You know, there are many more, but that 1,000 didn't have to go to bed hungry during the holiday season. Those things, I know what it feels like because I lived it, right? And so for me to give back to things that help shape my life, that's where the love and just the gratification come from.
I mean, your passion for it is clear just the way you talk about it. The roots are deep, right?
Yeah,
And if you
they're
have
deep.
that personal experience
Yeah,
of, education opening opportunities, mentorship opening opportunities, right? Programs like the Roxbury YMCA, keeping you focused on productive activities as opposed to being distracted with other things. Like, I love the fact that you're so grounded and continue to commit to giving back,
appreciate
in
it.
those areas. The other thing that really strikes me, a lot of people try to compartmentalize. This is what I do at work and this is what I do outside of work. I'm always looking at leaders, and what I observe with someone like you is the lines are blurred, right? You've been very successful in blending what I do at work, what you do at work, with how you give philanthropically, how you've taken on leadership. Talk to me a little bit about how you think about that, because I think sometimes people want to compartmentalize things, and I see a
Yeah,
lot of successful people like you.
yeah,
The the lines are blurred, right?
they're
There's a
blurred.
commingling. There's,
Yeah, there is. Let me take another step back because this is what is powering me now. The greatest thing I ever did was become a father. I have 3 children that I and my wife Jessica, we get to take our journey and whatever the best of that is and make that foundational for our kids. All 3 kids have gone through an internship just like I did. All 3 kids are in this industry in 3 different places. I've had the chance to see, the diversity and opportunities in our profession. I'm living it now through my kids. Um, I'm also able to see my children operate in an inclusive environment. Sometimes they're the catalyst for inclusivity, and sometimes they're being invited in because of their attitude and the journey that they're very publicly on. My kids are just like me. They're a product of my environment. So they don't care whether you're white, Hispanic, Asian, it does, or black, it doesn't matter. They embrace who you are first. And that came because that's the way my wife and I operated. So I'm watching the things that are in my life that I find value in now being perpetuated in my kids' lives because that's the environment they're in. And I'm hopeful that that's going to amplify through the 3 of them even broader, inclusivity because they're involved in separate things. I think the world works that way. If you plant seeds and you nurture and you grow them, they impact a broader audience. And so the place that I get to see that really work the best is with my own children. And it's awesome. They're professionals, they're educated, they're inclusive, they're fun, they're authentic, they're genuine, like all the things I'd wish they would have been. And that is a blessing because my wife and I gave them exactly the things that we thought we enjoyed the most about our own lives.
yeah. So look, I know with you, it is personal, right? It is
Yeah.
about family. And I've seen that, you've dedicated your career to helping people, achieve their financial goals, live their best life, whether that's you individually or empowering other people within John Hancock, NFP, like be able to do that. So I know for you it is personal. It is about the
Yeah,
lives we're impacting, and you care about that impact, and it shows up work wise, and it shows up in your work in the community.
yeah,
I don't want to miss the opportunity to highlight that this year, for example, you were awarded the Spirit of Life Award by City of Hope, one of the largest and most advanced cancer research and treatment organizations in the United States. Can you just share a little bit about what led you to
yeah,
that organization, the
yeah,
impact you're trying to create, and just share a little bit about that?
yeah. Mike, at the risk of getting a little emotional, if I do, just bear with me. It found me. Um, the life insurance industry is one of, I think, 8 industries that the City of Hope, which is the 5th largest cancer and diabetes research organization in the world. But it found me. All those genetic traits uh, are inherent in me. They're hereditary. My mom is a non-insulin, diabetic. um, you know, High blood pressure, runs in our family. It's just, we have these underlying pre-existing genetic, um, you know, traits. And, I'm at this place in my life where the industry saw me as a person of color. We're faced with some of these diseases on a higher level or at a higher rate because of my ethnic background. And the industry, City Hope found me. It found me at a really unique time. My brother earlier this year had gone through prostate cancer treatment. My sister, literally before I was being honored for the Spirit of Life Award at a gala that was put on in my honor and allowed me to raise philanthropic resources for clinical research, was diagnosed with breast cancer the week before. It's almost like, if you don't fight it, right, your life meets you where you need it to be. The City of Hope found me at a time that I needed it.
And
It's
be open
allowed,
to that, right? Like I love that. Like things are going to find
absolutely.
you, and if you're open to it, magic can happen, right? And you're
That
having huge impact, right?
that's it, Mike. You got to be open to it. Sometimes we fight things, right? It's like, oh, you want to be honored for this, or you want to join this, and kind of go, not sure, maybe not ready for that. For some reason, man, the things that have been put in front of me have come, at the right time. Each one of these foundations that or associations that I support, Finseca, I'm the first Black, chairperson of 100-year-old, association that protects the benefits of life insurance. Well, I sit at an organization that was built off of a life insurance centric distribution company. The American College is about higher education. Well, I'm a first generation higher education student. Now I can help people that may not have gone to traditional colleges or universities still get credentialed and have applied knowledge and reach for higher levels. That's important to me. Um, Suffolk University, as I told you, it's focused on first generation students in the city of Boston, where I'm from. My own kids got to experience that. It's amazing. It's funny if you don't fight too much, normally the right things find you where you are. And if you can naturally and authentically tie to it, boy, it's such an amazing journey that it takes you on. And that's where I'm at. That's why I'm always smiling. People are like, man, you're not that happy. I'm like, yo, I love my life. Things are
But
great, even in tough times. You know, I can find, like I mentioned, my brother, prostate cancer treatment, my my sister, stage 2 breast cancer. Uh, it, I was devastated to hear that they had to go through this process, but I was, my heart was full that I'm engaged with an organization that has resources that actually can help both of them. That is powerful. That
but
is amazing.
I think you deserve a ton of credit because you have that lens, right? You're open to the possibilities. You open your heart to it, and then you lean in. And what I love is that whether it's your work efforts, your philanthropic efforts, your commitment to your family, like the way you articulate that these deep-seated values that shaped you, they're perpetuating through everything you do.
Yeah,
And I think that's a huge lesson because, this podcast is about life amplified, and it's easy to
yeah,
just get on the conveyor belt and you blink an eye and your life is over. But when you think about a
yeah.
life of purpose, meaning, fulfillment, when I hear you talk, it doesn't matter whether it's about family, it's about work, it's about philanthropy. There's common threads that are
Yeah.
woven through there that makes it clear that you every day are living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and joy authentically because you're open to that possibility in everything you do.
No question, Mike. And let me look, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you and your organization a shout out. You know, you do get to a place where you want to legitimize where you are. You want to think not just of yourself, but if you're fortunate enough to think about the next generation, it requires structure and planning. And I've had the pleasure of working with Wealthspire and the incredible team that you have. It's a blessing to be able to say, I have something that I want to legitimize and plan for the future and have a secure retirement and leave generational wealth to my kids and their kids. But the reality is I'm able to do that. I'm able to do that because of organizations like yours. I'm able to do that because there are professionals that are in place to help us do that. They're also there that are going to help carry out my philanthropic goals and dreams and aspirations. All of that is wrapped into my relationship with Wealthspire, and I'm really proud of it. The journey that I'm on with Wealthspire and your team is second to none. And I want to thank you for being persistent with me and saying, MJ, I think that, when the time is right, we want to be the first place you come. And I took you seriously. Again, people are put in my life for a reason. They're there. And when the crossroad comes, you better know which way to turn. So I turned to Wealthspire, and I'm so proud and honored that I can call myself a client, and I'm a proud one.
Look, I appreciate that. It's an honor to work with you and individuals that are as grounded in like what their life is about and the impact that they want to be able to create. For us, it's never been about a return or a product. It's about understanding what matters most to individuals and families, hopes, dreams, fears, risks, and you're so open about that. It's easy to lean in and
Yeah.
personally, I feel like fortunate that our lives have intersected. Every day you motivate and inspire me to, have impact in every aspect of life, business,
Awesome.
family, philanthropy. They're all intertwined.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Unbelievable life that you've lived. Every day I see your passion, energy to keep driving impact. If you could go back and tell your younger self, and I'm sure you do this with individuals today, like what's the guidance that you would offer to help people live a life that, I mean, I see the joy that you have every day,
Yeah.
to continue to drive impact. What's the guidance that you would give to
Yeah,
folks?
it's simple. I always heard the advice, but I wasn't always listening. I just, if I could go back and listen better, just listen better. There were times where I was getting good sage advice and I heard it, but I wasn't listening. And when you listen, you're able to act on it. You're actually able to see the signs of the very advice that you're getting when you're confronted with a situation, or you're at that crossroad, or you're having to navigate a decision tree. Just gotta listen. Like I heard there's so many people, when you're this attitude that I had it when I was 10, I had it when I was 15, I had it when I was 20. In those impressionable ages, lots of people are telling you things and sharing things with you, and you're hearing them and you're acting like you're listening, but you're not really listening. And if I could, I did learn to listen. I did learn to block out distraction and take when people are giving me advice seriously. And today is literally powering my life. I'm still getting lots of advice. The difference between now and then is I'm leaning in and I'm trying to listen 100% of the time. In the past, I wasn't listening always. I was hearing them, but I wasn't listening.
I
That's it.
love it. Like, look, we're on this journey together, and there's amazing people around us. To me, the word I keep coming back to is you're open. You're
Yeah.
open to the guidance. You're open to the possibilities. You're open to the opportunities. And to me, that's a life well lived, right? If you're
Yeah,
open
man.
to that, it's amazing
Yeah.
the possibilities that can, and the magic that can happen. But you got
Ah,
to be open to it.
you,
So,
you said it, Mike. I got goosebumps, man. That is it right there.
look, thank you for being a guest. Really appreciate the partnership and the friendship. Um, and thanks for sharing, the insights that you did today.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Great Aspirations, presented by Wealthspire Advisors, a registered investment advisor and subsidiary company of NFP Corp. If you have feedback, including suggestions for future topics and guests, contact us at clientrelations@wealthspire.com.